Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Rib. It used to be Fish and Chip Day, but it's just Friday now. So that's it. But, well, we got tons of stuff to talk about, I guess. More mold. And I think I'm not going to go dig it out, but I've got a good memory for numbers. I think it is fiscal year 2026 now. And, as of July.
And we still got the same we still got the same company handling the mold remediation.
And that company this year is getting $1,086,000 and change, if I remember the number correctly. They're getting over $1 million, and we've been paying this company for the last 5 years or so, and we've had mold every year. I don't know what the hell they're doing. And while we're on that topic, the reason I brought it up first is on the local news this morning, and I'm like you. I watch local and national all the time.
So do I.
They talked about the state of Rhode Island. I hope you're listening, school committee, mayor, de facto chair. The state of Rhode Island is suing 13 different vendors. Hey guys, yeah. It was cold today, but at least it wasn't windy. Hey, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
They're suing 13 different vendors for the Washington Bridge. Hint, hint, hint. Holding people accountable. Oh my, oh me, oh my. What are they doing over there in Rhode Island? I can't believe it.
I know of all places, Rhode Island.
Yeah, imagine Rhode Island showing us up. They're leading the way.
They're making up for all those years of mafia control.
That's right. They got 13 vendors are being sued, and we're paying $1 million to a company that's made over around $4 million. I think the total I had last time was $3.6 million. We've paid them almost $4 million to maintain these systems, and we can't get rid of the mold. Yeah, the contract. Well, they let the Washington Bridge fall into such massive disrepair that and then I guess they got the guy that's in charge of their DCM or DPW or whatever, and they grilled him, and of course he didn't have any. So they just passed the buck, but at least they're doing something about it now, and the Providence City Council is doing something too about accountability on subjects, and so it's nice to see that actually a neighboring state can do something. I'm waiting for our school department or any department in the city to hold people accountable for anything.
God forbid.
And yeah, God forbid. And I guess while we're on a school department. Yeah. No, yeah. Well, you're right. I think that the governor was voted the worst governor in the country. But then again, I don't know. There are so many of them. And we're on the school department. I guess we have to touch base on fact. I know Florida Reporter talked about Kevin Aguiar resigning his position as principal in Westport. The story had virtually no details in it, so I'm really not gonna. I mean, I guess, to be continued. I don't know why. I guess at least from what we've gotten pieced together, CJ, correct me if I'm wrong. It didn't have anything to do with him. It had something to do with the assistant principal.
Well, from what I understand, a disabled student was dragged through the halls of the elementary school by a paraprofessional or a teacher's aide or one of those situations. And allegedly, the vice principal did nothing about it. And the principal, who was Kevin, did nothing about reprimanding the vice principal or the paraprofessional or whoever it was until it became public because the parents of that child went public with it. So,
hey, David.
Yeah.
Well,
now his resignation says that he's resigning to pursue other opportunities. To be clear, doesn't say anything about the situation. It just says he's resigning to pursue other opportunities.
Well, yeah, and Fatima, with that, I really, there's not enough information about what happened there. We don't know if they looked into if there was any investigation at all, if they had an investigation and said that, that maybe, who knows? I mean, sometimes students are, they can act out, and special needs students can act out, and we don't know. You don't know the circumstances of anything. I don't know. But Kevin has been in politics long enough to know the timing doesn't look good.
Right. It just, and that's
you don't say I'm gonna, that's the old, when politicians leave office, they and under the pall of some kind of scandal, they always say I'm leaving to pursue other avenues, and blah blah blah. Doesn't sound good. But hey, if he didn't do anything about it, but thing is, we don't know the whole story. So I mean, I don't know if he wants to comment on it. Apparently, he doesn't, because he left. I mean, if his resignation just did that, I don't know. So I mean, it's one of those situations where it's going to be nothing more than speculation, and everybody's rumors and everything else. We're going to have 50,000 different explanations of anything, and I'd rather get down to the meat and potatoes of stuff. Yeah, well, yeah, that's an insult to circuses. James. They have some semblance of order. They've got 3 rings going at one time, and they can normally pull it off. And Fall River can't do 1 ring.
Right.
It's a total circus. He didn't resign from the school committee. Well, that's got nothing to do with that. But so now we can. Oh yeah, of course they're gonna. That's why, it's up to him. It's him. It's his prerogative what he says or does about this issue. But as you said, because he's a politician, his enemies are going to make some hay with this, and I don't know how much he wants to address it. But let's talk about some other thing here. That you had a letter from the firefighters union about this. This, I'm going to call it the bullshit list.
Yes.
The technical name is not. It's not the civil service list. It's the bullshit list. And the letter was fairly well written. Do you have it, CJ? Can you read the text?
I'm going to bring it up right now. It's going to take me a second.
Okay, please do. I don't want to be inaccurate about what was said.
Well, that's why I'm trying to bring it up. So, should be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, Fall River Firefighters Union. Residency and Veterans Preference Update. The city is pushing to open firefighter positions to non-residents, a move that would place out-of-town applicants ahead of Fall River residents and U.S. military veterans. Local families and veterans have always been the backbone of this community. Changing these standards undermines opportunities for those who live here, serve here, and support this city every day. Your Fall River firefighters stand firmly for practicing for protecting residency requirements and honoring veterans service. And it's signed by President Michael O'Regan.
Okay, so I'm going to have a little bit to say about this one.
Just a little.
Number one, the other list they want to use is so they can put all their friends on. There'll be no oversight, no civil service testing. Civil service at least eliminate some of the favoritism. They can pick from the top three, but they have to get into the top three. They still have to take a competitive examination. And if they're given the examination on a list they're running, they probably give their friends the answers, and they have to put the numbers in for the questions. So they top every list. This is absolute bullshit. Number one on two fronts. Them using that list is a violation of the charter. Aren't we supposed to hire city residents? CJ?
Your guess is as good as mine. Remember,
the charter talks about hiring city residents, okay? Number one, people talk about having a residency requirement, and they're going to hire people from out of town. That's when you get their out of town friends on, because they can't.
We already have a residency requirement.
I know.
It's been on the books for years.
That's what I'm saying.
Carrera fought to get that on the books.
So there's a bits that the firefighters union could use.
Right.
And secondly, the big one. Here comes the big one. Here comes the pain.
The former city clerk said that they can't enforce the residency requirement because the unions won't let it be put in their contract. Well, guess what? They pulled that shit in Boston and lost.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. It used to be in a Fall River contract.
Yeah.
It used to be in a Fall River contract. And I'm going to tell you a bigger issue I got.
Go right ahead.
They are violating a Supreme Court, not the SJC of Massachusetts. The Supreme Court of the United States of America, the highest court in the United States, upheld Massachusetts's absolute veterans preference. We had a period during the fire department when I was on where we had no firefighters being hired off the civil service list because it was in litigation. People tried to get rid of the veterans preference. And while it meandered its way to the Supreme Court, we had to hire temporary firefighters, and we hired them off the list, but they could not be appointed as permanent firefighters, but they were only temporary until the thing got adjudicated, because some were veterans, some were not veterans, and it had to be adjudicated, and it was. And the Supreme Court, well,
we don't know the full story yet.
I can't. Yeah. Well, I don't know about him calling down the Fall River teachers. I don't know And I will plead guilty to not watching every minute of the school committee. It's so painful to watch because they have
Like
no.
watching a city council meeting.
It's worse because over there they can't even ask questions and everything else. But to get back to that, the Supreme Court upheld the United States, the Massachusetts' absolute veterans preference. If they hire a vet, if they hire a non-vet with veterans on a civil service list, they get a lawsuit, and there is an active list. That's why you know it's bullshit. If there are people on a civil service list now they can hire, why would you need another list? You never need another list. Listen, I was the president of that union for nearly 25 years, 24 and a half years. Because at first we used to get elected in the summer, then we got elected later, they changed. So nearly 25 years, so say 24 years, complete years. I was there when we went without it. I went there when they challenged the veterans preference. And I can tell you categorically that having a civil service list is not a problem. It's only a problem when you want to circumvent civil service so you can put your friends on a job. See, if you don't have your friends on a list, you can't put them on. Or if they're so low on a list, they can't get it into the top 3 to be looked at for a job. Then you can't get them on. I'll tell you a true story. I had a person come up to me one time and said, my husband is getting on the fire department. I said, well, that's nice. And I said, where is he on the list? Oh, it doesn't matter. He knows a particular politician. And so I said, well, it doesn't matter. Oh, yes, it does. This person is a very powerful politician in Boston. So I said, it's not going to happen. Said, no. I said, what do you mean? Because the civil services list is public record, and there's a method of hiring. You have to call 3 names for every vacancy plus 1. So if there's 5 vacancies, it's 16 names and ties. So there can theoretically be a few more because now they don't round. They round the marks off. They don't go back to the hundredths of a point like we used to. So she said he's getting on a job, and he never did. So easy story. Never did. She thought she was going to circumvent it. That's what makes civil service so important. It's bad enough that they can get them on a list, and if they get anywhere near the top, if they get in the top 3, they're gonna jump the other 2 people, no matter how much more qualified the other people are. At one time, when I first got on the job, the civil service list was nobody was ever jumped. They marked you by they went down to the 100th of a point. And they always hired the number 1 person at one time. And I'm not speaking from theory, it happened to me. When I took my first captain's exam, I tied for first place. I was behind the guy who beat me, and he didn't beat me on a test. I beat him by 8 questions. But he had been a lieutenant for 20 years, and I'd only been a lieutenant for like 2. So he got a higher experience mark. So he beat me by 2 100ths of a point. And I didn't make captain. 2 years I waited. There was only 1 vacancy. He got it. He had the top mark. Nobody complained, including me. He was number 1. That's when civil service was really good. It's not quite as good now, but it's a hell of a lot better than letting Paul Coogan and a fire chief who lied to try to get somebody fired any jurisdiction at all. Civil service maintains at least some integrity. They have to take a competitive exam. They're marked on it by people outside of Fall River. That is absolute bullshit. Well, 40,000. It's 40,000 plus, James. And as Cheryl, I don't know if people resign unless they're guilty. I don't know. I know people have resigned from positions, but they weren't under investigation or anything. So I don't know
Sometimes
if that's
it's just
ever
the
happened.
accusation.
Huh?
Sometimes it's just the accusation.
Yeah, sometimes I guess there are some people that just don't want to put up with the bullshit. I mean, I think you have a point. She has a point because he is a political figure. I think it does make the resignation a little bit more something
Squishy.
to consider that there might be something there. Not there's nothing here. So, but like I said, none of us know the whole story.
That's
I
right.
don't know what his motivation was, and you know, he did
And
what.
that's why we presented only what he said.
Yeah,
That's why we presented only what he said. That was the limit of his comments. He's made no other comments. The Westport School Department has made no other comments except that he resigned yesterday, and that it was to pursue other opportunities.
and I
And
am
they
one hundred
thanked him for his service.
and I am 100% sure he will suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune by his enemies on the school committee.
Of course, of
And
course.
his enemies that are not on the school committee, but who used to be on the school committee. So, because that's politics. But hey,
Right.
you get into the game, you put your headgear on, and you get ready to take a couple of shots because that's the way it is. But
that's why
see,
people don't want to run for politics, run for office anymore.
no, I know.
Okay?
And you know what disturbs me more than anything else, CJ, is that we have a city right now that knows all this, and we talk about politics on this show 3 times a week, and yet nobody is in an uproar over the fact that they want to get rid of the last vestige that tries to eliminate patronage.
Right.
In the worst administration this city has ever seen for patronage, they're going to let them go. And if the city council approves this, they are free.
I spoke to members of the city council today, and I was told that they do not believe it's going to come before them. The reason why they feel that way is the police department currently uses a hybrid form of the list, and they only use that list when the civil service list is exhausted.
Yeah, well, that's a different scenario.
Yeah, but you know what? If the civil service list is exhausted, give the test again. Right?
That's right. No, you're 100% right, CJ. That's their bullshit line.
Right.
They're only going to do it. They're only going to do it if the civil service list is exhausted. The civil service list should never be exhausted. They last for 2 years, and the city can petition for an exam anytime they want, an additional exam, or when the 2 years is almost up, they give a new exam in time to have a list to hire off, or they can extend the list. They can ask for an extension of the list until the marks come down. What they have done, and like I said, this is all political bullshit. We had a fire chief who intentionally forgot to file for a test to keep a current civil service list in effect that he had a friend on so they could get to him. Could there be a few vacancies would show up before the new list came out, and this guy was down on the list and they were going to get to him. So, like I said, even that doesn't, but at least there's something. Yeah, but his own school, I got to, what's that? His own school, yeah. No, you're right. But you know something, James? It's on them. They should just go to court. It's on their side. The case law is there. They're fiduciaries. If they want numbers, if they want answers, they're elected officials. They have a 100% right to those numbers. I've got all the case law, and they know it.
Jeff, the change of our charter is on the city council agenda for the meeting on Tuesday to petition for the city charter to be changed to a type E charter so that we have a city manager as opposed to a city mayor, similar to the charter that the town of Cambridge has. It will make for 9, instead of being 9 at-large councilors, it will be 9 ward councilors and 2 or 4 at-large councilors. The current city council will ask for 4 at-large councilors because most of them come from Ward 8 or 9. And this way, they'll stay on the council. Because if they're not on the council, they're upset.
Well, there are 2 arguments, I guess, to that, 2 or 4, which
and the argument on the city side is that the city council chamber can't handle any more seats.
Maybe suspicious people, superstitious people don't want 4 because it'll change it to 13, and that's an unlucky number. So you don't want to be council of 13, chair 13. We'll have to do a high rise and have no 13th floor. But I believe we should only. What's my personal opinion? I believe we should have 2 ward councilors. 2. Why? Because we only need 2 to break the vote. And ward councilors, you're right. There's no way to get around it. This city has been run by the North End or the North End and its close proximity for years.
Right.
No, you're right, James. The Cliff Worcester is it's a disaster in Worcester. Yeah, they got a type E charter, and every law you read, virtually every law you read in the Massachusetts General Law says in every city or town except Worcester,
right?
Worcester doesn't have a council that has enough control or any control.
Well, that was the difference between Cambridge and Worcester. Cambridge City Council abdicated its control.
That's right.
Worcester did. Cambridge did not. Cambridge maintained the control in the city council.
Yeah.
They maintained their power. In the Worcester charter, they gave up their power. So they have a useless city council. They might as well have just done away with it and gone to Oakland.
I mean, if you're going to abdicate your power and you have virtually no oversight from government, you might as well just say the city is no longer a public entity, it's a private business because we have no government.
Yeah.
I mean, we got no city council, we got no mayor. So we're going to hire a guy strictly to run the finances, but he's going to have power over the rest of the city because he's the guy that allocates the money now to the rest of the city. So he becomes a de facto mayor.
That's right.
That's crazy.
That's right.
It's crazy. That doesn't make any sense at all. No, you're right, James. We should have, and he's, Cliff Ponte didn't do his homework.
Cliff Ponte never does his homework. That's the problem. Okay?
I'll tell you what. If they come up with that and that comes up to a vote, if they've got the Worcester, so I'm going to vote against it. As much as I've been advocating for that charter.
No, they want the Type E Cambridge charter.
All right. If they want the Type E Cambridge, that's what, I mean, listen, we've had the ultimate, he's not even a ribbon cutter. We've had mayors that were fundamentally ribbon cutters and they were running by other things, but. Well, there's already a provision about that, about length of time in special elections, like with mayors and stuff. Like there was a rumor going around about Coogan possibly leaving office early.
Right.
And that rumor, I don't know if anybody else has heard anything about it. Let us know, because I just heard a couple of people, float that rumor. But I'm giving it Class C now, not a Class A rumor. It's not even a Class B rumor yet. We need more people to be talking about it to elevate it up to a Class A rumor. but we don't normally deal in rumors. But for the sake of argument, like if he leaves quickly, there'll be a special election. But if they're, it is in there that if it's toward the end of his term, the president of the city council becomes the acting mayor.
Right.
We've had that before. We had Dan Bogan as acting mayor. We had Cliff Ponte as an acting mayor.
Yes, we did.
So, but if it's a long term, like the guy, he can't like get in here, get sworn in on January and leave in February. There will be a special election. So no, but I agree. If there's and mostly everything you ever get, even unions and stuff like that. And we had, we had 1 year terms at one time, then we had 2 year terms. And then it was like in the bylaws after that if somebody left immediately within the first year, you had a special election because they had more than a year left in a term. You weren't going to just appoint, you couldn't get the executive board to appoint anybody they wanted. You had to, you could only appoint it. And we had that happen. We had a guy that ran for treasurer, won, and then resigned 3 months after he was elected. And he had basically a year and 9 months left on his term. So we had a special election. And, that's the thing. Yeah, yeah. He doesn't listen. He didn't even want to run this time. He was told by the bosses to run.
Right.
Anybody that knows what's going on in the city knows that he look at him. Did you see him at the recount? That job has really aged him. He's not used to being the head of anything. And even though he's not, because he doesn't virtually take responsibility for anything. I don't know anything. I'm a vice principal. I'm this, I'm that. It's still beating his brains out. I mean, he looked awful physically at that recount. You can tell he's aged drastically. Look at his picture in the first term. Look at a couple of pictures and look at what he looks like now. And that happens to a lot of people in the presidency too. They age greatly, because you can't take the heat, and they get wilted in the kitchen. But there's some rumors going out about that. But look at it, he's the mayor. He got elected, unfortunately, and he's the mayor till he decides either to run his term to the end or get out. And if he gets out, then we're going to have a whole. That'll be an interesting topic. If he gets out and there's a special election, will all of a sudden there be a flurry of candidates because it's an empty seat? All the Cooganites that wouldn't run against Coogan, will they run again to try to take control? He wants to fit. Go ahead. Did you post that one from James? Yeah. Yeah. You're right, James. He wants to finish strong. I don't know what he's finishing, and you put it down there. You articulated it perfectly. There it is. He's like Gavin Newsom. I want to be the president of the United States. I wrecked California. We got the highest taxes in the country, the highest homelessness, the highest drug addiction, and we haven't. And people are fleeing like they're on fire. That are of average income, but this is Cougar. He wants to finish strong, delusions of grandeur. And that's the only thing he's going to finish is the market rate housing for his friends and get his friends rich and get his friends jobs.
Remember, here's another thing coming up on the city council agenda for Tuesday, and that is to enter into a contract, an intermunicipal agreement with Westport to provide them with more water. Supposedly at a 55% increase over the Fall River rate.
Yeah, but that's still not going to pay us all the money they owe us.
I was going to say, are they going to pay the money they owe us?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with this new agreement, are they going to pay that?
Yeah. They
Or
didn't
are they
pay
going
the
to come
last
back
bill.
and say, oh, we want another 50% discount? I'll take a 50% discount. If you can give it to Westport, why can't you give it to me?
Yeah, so they're going to have a 55% increase in their rate, which means that they're getting a 5% increase because they got a 50% discount before,
That's
right?
right.
Let's do the math. Okay, I'm pretty quick with the math. That's that's another crock of bullshit. They're
Right.
going to get it. That we're giving them a 55% increase. But it could have been worse. Paul could have said, "Listen, I'm going to give them a 55% increase, but we were giving them a 70% break before, so there's still 15% less than us." I mean, this is absurd. I mean, we're looking at this absurdity. All right, let's see. It's in the city manager time at the job. There was immense pressure. No, it doesn't really. I got to disagree on that one, Nelson. They're not responsible for city operations. They're responsible for the finances. They have department heads and stuff like that. The city will be structured the same. You hire a man their only job is to be Alan Sylvia. Alan Sylvia could do that job. I'm not talking about Alan Sylvia,
the state rep.
State rep. I'm talking about Alan Sylvia, who used to be he was the first city administrator and was a Harvard MBA. They got those guys that just deal with the finances of the city. They don't have that's one of the benefits of the Type E charter, that you have somebody there expressly, and
right.
You got to pay them big money.
Nelson, there are many communities in Massachusetts that have long-term city managers.
Yep.
Greater than 5, some even greater than 10 years.
Yep.
And they're all doing quite well because it works.
Yeah.
It works. And so I hate to say it, Nelson, and you're looking at all the potential negativity.
Very, very, very low burnout rate. You didn't hear about Worcester losing its financial.
That's right. You don't hear about Cambridge losing.
Worcester's had this for, I don't know, 50 years. I don't know, 100
right.
years. I don't know how long. It's as long as I've been active, which is a long time. Every time I open a Massachusetts general law book, it said in every city and town except Worcester. Let's Dan. I just got one from Dan Robillard. Gang, welcome, Danny. You're watching the show. I believe the current charter says it is 18 months or less. Oh, that's the charter wrecked that too. It used to be less than that. All right, I didn't even know that. Man, Dan's the expert on the charter. He was the only thing. So that means if he did bail out, you're going to have that's absurd. That's absurd. Yeah, right. Not to be confused with the Alan Sylvia who vote against the veterans preference when it comes to housing. You're right. You're right, James. But no, these people, these towns with city managers and the two communities, Cambridge and Worcester, who have finance people, and those people don't burn out. That's what they do.
That's right.
It's like being a president of a union for 20-some years. You really know how to do the job, and it's not going to overwhelm you.
And they don't have the stress. And they don't have the stress of running for office every 2 years or every 4 years. They don't have that stress.
That's right.
What happens is if they do their job, their city council or selectmen renew their contract.
Yeah. Actually,
if they don't, they find somebody else.
Actually, it's the exact opposite of being a pressure job. It's their wheelhouse. If you hire the right person like they do, they are actually micromanaging the city because they only got that one aspect. Looking at the numbers, making sure everything fits. It's almost like having a in-house forensic auditor. Ooh, did I say forensic? Ooh, sorry. But But you're going to have somebody who's express duty. They're not going to run DCM, and they're not going to run. It's the city manager is not in charge of operations. They're in charge of finances. That's what they do. And the city can tailor the way everything is done anyway. This is why you have them. John.
And now that you mentioned DCM, on the agenda for Tuesday
that's right.
is Chris Perenno. It says the mayor is seeking the approval of the appointment of Chris Perenno as DCM director. The problem is the mayor sent out an email saying that Chris Perenno has removed himself as a candidate for DCM director. And he took his job back in Swansea. So why is it even on the agenda?
Who knows?
You wonder why? Because Joe Camara doesn't know what he's doing.
Didn't someone mention as one of the reasons they didn't want to hire him is they didn't think he would stay in the job?
That's right.
And that's the key. He has a very spotty record of staying anywhere. Exactly. And he's going to go read. And as soon as he found out he was, had a little bit of pushback about him getting the job here, he bailed. Who knows? Maybe he was anticipating Jazel running in an election or something like that in the not too distant future. Who knows what could happen? Yeah. Well, they disappear. They can't listen. They're going to have to pay big bucks, but you save big bucks. You can eliminate a lot of the way if you look at what we paid the $140K guy, and then he had 2 consultants and 3 assistants, and you add all their salaries and benefits, we were probably paying over $1 million to have a finance team. This guy, this way, you got it.
Yes, they did, James. And to top it all off, when Al Oliveira was asked, he said, well, we got a 3-year contract. Yeah, we got a 3-year contract. But how long is he going to stay? Well, we got a 3-year contract. We know we got a 3-year contract. But how long is he going to stay? Well, we might be able to get 1.5 to 2 years out of him. But we got a 3-year contract. Okay? This is the way it works.
Well,
the worst part about it is, from what I understand, my sources on the 6th floor, Al Oliveira threatened to quit his job if they didn't hire Chris Perenno as DCM director. Good. Quit. Leave. Do the city a favor. We don't need you. You're a political tick. Get out of here. We don't want you.
Well, okay. All right. Now this is like a soap opera. Hey, we got the soap opera section of Spindle City here. He does think he deserves money. I think that he probably shouldn't have got another city job after he buried somebody in the wrong plot. So, I mean, that should have been the end of his career. But he was very friendly with the mayor at the time. We know that.
Right.
So. But this is the problem. We get these guys for 140, 150, and then they got an assistant. We had, what's his name there, the guy that was here forever as a consultant. And then we hire a consultant. We had a consultant in the water department for a long time. He used to run the water department. When you look at these things, people, this is the problem. You hire somebody, you pay him big money, and when you're going to pay him big money, he's got to perform. Or you pay somebody else. This is why people in Worcester and Cambridge stay, Nelson, because they get big money, but they got to perform. The key, what we don't do in Fall River, they're held accountable. They have to be held accountable. You're not going to pay a guy $250,000 and have him say, I don't know the numbers. Oh, I screwed that up. Oh, sorry, I can't run a Munis system. I can't do this. I can't do this. Can I have 5 assistants? No. But this is the way real cities run. Cities that are well run. Cambridge, Worcester, small towns. Oh, yeah, you're right. I agree, James. I mean, she's, I mean, by her own admission, look at she, what, this is, you got your Pally Paul. Oh, the attitude is not, let's make sure somebody can do the job. Let's make a department head that doesn't have a clue because, oh, she's young and we want to give her a chance to grow into the job. No, you don't grow into the job. You know how you grow into the job? You go work in a subordinate position and learn the freaking job. That's how you do it. If you're an electrician, you don't start as a master electrician. What do you start as? An apprentice. And then you become a journeyman. And then you become a master electrician. And then you got to go periodically to get like he does, like CJ has to do with his nursing credentials. He has to get CEUs. He has to get continuing education. On a retirement board, we have to get continuing education on retirement law. No, Paul Coogan. That's why he never made principal. He can't run anything. He has no clue on how to be a leader and get anything that has any accountability. It's all about politics and patronage. This is what you got. Give her a chance.
It's obvious when there's allegations that there are 3 unlicensed electricians working in the school department. Unlicensed.
Well, the fact that this guy said he was going to resign if he didn't get help calls into question his ability to lead. Why does he need this guy? Does he need help? I don't know. No, I believe we should have cameras everywhere. I'm telling you. Yeah, you mean a 98,000, 98% off on the number? That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Can't get much worse than that one.
That's right.
2% maybe, but yeah. Oh yeah, it's $2,000. Oh, wait a minute. Good thing Michelle questioned it.
That's right.
Thank heavens again for Michelle Dion doing her job for the taxpayers of Fall River. All the other dumbos was going to sit there and take that at face value from somebody who hasn't given them a number that was solid the first time out since she's been.
And just remember, this may be Michelle's last term. She has said this time she's not going to run again. And as a matter of fact, had she lost the election, she wouldn't have been upset. Because the people of Fall River don't support her.
And I can understand her frustration, but some of us that do support her would be very, very, very disappointed because she's done a great job. And I think maybe this time, with some help, we're going to see the impact that she has had on that council. She has been the beacon of the taxpayers since she's been on that council. And I don't throw compliments out easily. She has been the shining light of that council for the taxpayer, and she hasn't had the help she needs. Maybe now with the new council, she will get the help. Maybe with Chris Peckham and Mike Canuel, if they step up and pay attention to what Michelle does her homework. I'm not saying they have to agree all the time. Do your homework though. Don't, and as CJ so aptly said on the last show, don't take Paul Coogan's numbers on anything or any opinion he gets.
That's right.
Well, like we said on our first show, don't believe anything we say. Go check it. Don't believe our numbers. Go check them. That's why
and we've always said follow the money.
Yeah, where will my numbers come from? United States Census Bureau. I'll tell you where the numbers came from. The contract. I'll hold them up in front. Don't, for your new counselors, I don't have to tell Chris that. Chris has dealt already, but to Mike, don't ever trust any number you get. Call somebody else, like anybody and try to confirm those numbers from somebody outside the financial team because.
Fatima, we're talking about Emily.
Emily, the
chief financial nitwit.
The chief financial officer who Paul Coogan said her qualifications are that she's young.
Yeah.
And we want to give her a chance. No, sorry. You don't put somebody that's young and doesn't know what they're doing in charge. Well, we had somebody with oatmeal brain in charge of the nuclear football. That's a bad analogy because we had Biden up there for 4 years. But, you know, I don't know. I think that's why, listen, this freaking charter is a disaster, unmitigated disaster. I mean, who would put in that 18 months you can be the acting? That's bullshit. I mean, we need to change our charter completely, and we need to go to an E, and we need citizens. We need the citizens' input into that change in the charter.
But according to the charter, the city council and the mayor appoint the city council charter committee. The city council gets 2 or 3.
Well, I know how they do it.
And the mayor gets the balance. They're all politicians, and they're all going to change the charter to reflect the politicians' wants.
Well, I don't know if the charter applies to getting rid of the charter.
No, it doesn't.
Because you're changing the charter.
Right.
So right off the bat, there went the charter's provisions because you're asking for a different form of government. And if they don't interpret it that way, we might have to do it on the ballot. No, she hasn't. You know, you're right. She got a degree in political science. You know what that qualifies you to do, James? It gets to get a job where you're going to mayor like Paul Coogan and get a job you're not qualified for because you know how to be a bullshit
artist. Oh, wait a minute. That's what she's doing. Bullshit.
Yeah, review and revise. Well, that's not the way you're supposed to do it when you're in charge of the fight. You know, try to go to Elon Musk's company and tell him I don't know the numbers. See how long you last. That's why I became a billionaire. And the key is it's about, again, that word that's almost as bad to say as forensic, accountability. That, you know, the city council has done virtually, except for Michelle, virtually nothing in holding this city fiduciarily accountable. And that has to change.
I agree. Well, it's been a great show. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank you for your participation. It's going to be cold this weekend. We're supposed to get some snow showers tomorrow. So be sure to stay warm. Keep that ice melt around. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.